As it turns out, the Mavs did offer Luka Doncic to more teams than just the Los Angeles Lakers. Plus, does the NBA have an officiating problem? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe right here and turn on those notifications. So the league was shocked. We all were. I was. Everyone around the NBA was completely shocked when Luka Doncic, almost a month ago now, was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. It was so unbelievable that we all thought Shams Charania had been hacked. Most teams around the NBA reacted the same way. They couldn't believe that Luka had been traded and they hadn't been given an opportunity to get into the mix. Most believed that the Mavs had negotiated one-on-one with the Lakers. They really wanted Anthony Davis, and that was it, ultimately sending Luka in a deal that netted Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a first-round pick. Well, Sam Amick of The Athletic says not so. Nope. In fact, the Mavs actually tried to get Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here's what Sam Amick writes. While this spicy what-if scenario never gained any traction, league sources tell The Athletic that the Mavs and the Timberwolves informally discussed the prospect of swapping Dončić for 23-year-old three-time All-Star Anthony Edwards in the weeks before the Lakers deal went down. More specifically, Nico Harrison reached out to the Wolves and asked if there was a chance they'd be willing to trade Edwards and was told no. The Timberwolves league sources say, "We're stunned that Dallas was contemplating parting ways with Luka Doncic." So obviously the word going around that the Mavs negotiated one-on-one with the Lakers and did not talk to anyone else is incorrect. That is not accurate. Had they had the opportunity to get a player like an Anthony Edwards, they would have considered doing something like that. There were some rumblings right around the trade that maybe they would have had some conversations trying to get Giannis for Luka, something along those lines. Now, I know a lot of Mavs fans are very much not happy about the trade, not happy with their return, particularly now that Anthony Davis, the big piece coming back to them, got hurt in his first game as a Dallas Maverick, but fingers crossed, hopefully Anthony Davis will be just fine and will be able to make his return sooner rather than later. But Mavs fans very underwhelmed with the return, despite admittedly how well Max Christie has played. They'd probably feel a lot better if the Mavs have gotten another generational star in, say, a Giannis or an Anthony Edwards or someone like that, but those guys were not available. But should they have been? Should they have been? Now, I get it with Giannis. I'll admit, I'm not totally sold on Anthony Edwards. I'm not. I think he's very good, but I wonder whether or not the Wolves should have seriously considered that swap. It's not like Luka is old, 25, right? Anthony Edwards, yes, he's 23. He's averaging 27.5 points per game. But for all the concerns about Luka and where he's at in terms of his whole process, in terms of his professionalism, all of that, I think Anthony Edwards has fallen short in that area as well. Now, Ant is 23. I think he's an incredibly talented player. I think he's going to be just fine. I think sometimes it's just a maturation process, but we saw him get himself ejected from last night's game against the Lakers. Now, that may not all be on Anthony Edwards. That's another conversation that we're going to have in just a minute. But 27.5 points for Anthony Edwards per game. You look at the three-point volume, he's shooting 10 threes per game at a 41% three-point percentage. That's fantastic. You'll certainly take that. 6 boards, 4.6 assists, 1.2 steals. Look, Anthony Edwards is great. Don't hear what I'm not saying. Anthony Edwards is great. But there's this sense that Anthony Edwards is being presented as this next level generational star. And I don't think that's what he is right now. I don't think that's what he is. Whereas Luka at 25 has already led his team to the NBA Finals, is a perennial MVP candidate. And if you have questions about professionalism with Luka, well, I think you have some similar questions when it comes to Anthony Edwards and his inability to keep himself on the floor. Right now, he's leading the NBA in technical fouls. He picked up a double technical in last night's game for shoving Jared Vanderbilt in the back during a little skirmish between the two. He was seen the last time the Lakers and the Wolves played, having some words with Jared Vanderbilt, complaining about Vando and the fact that he had not been playing in a couple of years, as Anthony Edwards said, and apparently that carried over. That was months ago, and that carried over into this game, and Jared Vanderbilt had words. He picked up a double technical in that situation and then had to go with the referees later on in the game and got himself kicked out of what wound up being a very close game that his team certainly could have won. So when you've got concerns about Luka and professionalism, well, you probably have some similar concerns with Anthony Edwards. And yet, I thought the opportunity, if it was truly there to do a straight up swap, would have been an interesting one for Minnesota to truly consider. So, well, I'm not surprised that ultimately they stayed with what they have. Again, Anthony Edwards is phenomenal. Most of the time, if it's a close trade, teams will just stick with what they've got. So I'm not surprised that the Wolves said, no, we're just going to keep Ant. We're going to hang on to him. But maybe they should have considered taking Luka and going from there. To me, it feels like Anthony Edwards is being pushed as the next guy, as in some circles, the next coming of Michael Jordan, and there's these lofty expectations. He's not there yet. He's not there yet. I do think he's going to get there, but he's not there right now. So maybe the Wolves should have considered hedging their bet a little bit and getting a guy who already is that next level generational star. Now, I did say Anthony Edwards got himself kicked out of the game. I don't think he should have been. And so that brings me to another topic here. What the hell is going on with NBA officials? If you've been watching games recently, you've seen NBA referees be much quicker on the trigger in giving out technical fouls. Again, we saw it last night. Anthony Edwards played fairly well for the Wolves, a Wolves team that is badly trying to keep themselves in the playoff mix in the Western Conference. They want to get out of the play-in. They badly needed a win last night against the Lakers. And frankly, as poorly as the Lakers shot, the opportunity was there. The opportunity was there for the Wolves to get a win. But here they are right now, sitting in the 8th seed. Look at the Warriors flying up the standings. 5 wins in a row, 7-3, the Golden State Warriors. But the Wolves try to keep pace. Now here they are sitting in the 8th seed in the West. They want to chase down the Clippers and at least get to the 6th seed. Right now, they're just a game back of the Clippers. But Anthony Edwards got himself ejected. But should he have been? I think in that moment when Ant complained that he was fouled, I didn't think he did anything egregious. Now, it's possible that in that moment, Anthony Edwards said something that we didn't see on camera or didn't hear on camera. But he certainly could have said something that we didn't pick up. But I think it was a situation where the officials forgot that he already had a technical foul. And then if there was a chance that Ant was going to be able to appeal the technical foul and get, because now he's going to be suspended for the Wolves next game and get that repealed, he ruined that shot by throwing the ball into the stands afterwards. That's just childish, petulant. Anthony Edwards throws the ball into the stands. Well, there goes your chance. There's no way the NBA is rescinding your tech now, not after you acted like a baby. That's not going to happen. You probably could have successfully argued that the referees overreacted because you know what? The referees, they have been overreacting. Naz Reid picked up a tech last night for telling the ref, call it both ways. Call it the same way on the other end. That's what he said. And he was given a technical foul for that. What is going on with NBA officiating? We've seen a number of players get very soft technical fouls recently. So clearly something shifted with the officials. Something shifted and they've decided that they are no longer going to put up with certain things being said. But I think that's actually a problem. Anthony Edwards aside. Anthony Edwards, don't throw the ball into the stands because now you've guaranteed that you're out for your team's next game. Fortunately, I believe they're playing the Utah Jazz. They should be okay. But still, you're in the midst of a playoff push. You can't lose your head. Again, when we're talking about professionalism, we're talking about should the Wolves actually have considered moving Anthony Edwards for Luka? This kind of stuff doesn't exactly scream, yeah, Anthony Edwards is that guy that's going to lead your team to the next level. When he's throwing the ball into the crowd and guaranteeing that he's going to miss your next game, that ain't leadership. And we've seen that from Ant over the course of the season. Now, that said, Ant's also not necessarily wrong. This shift with the officiating is concerning, and here's why. Let me tell you why. This shift with the officiating is concerning. Basketball is a very exposed game. When you compare it to the NFL, hell, you compare it to MLB, right? Look at the NFL. Guys are in big pads. They've got helmets on. You don't get to see their facial reactions quite as much as you do in a sport like the NBA. Even MLB, they're wearing hats, right? Can cover their eyes, things of that nature. Hockey, they're wearing the helmets, right? NBA, they're wearing a tank top. NBA, they're wearing a tank top. Players are very exposed. You're getting their raw emotions. You can see exactly how they're reacting. And that's okay. I think that's actually a benefit to the NBA because it humanizes the players. It gives people at home watching something to relate to. Hey, that guy's mad. Yeah, I'm mad too. I would be mad in that situation. I can see how he's reacting. Now, obviously, there's a line that you can't cross. There's a certain line that you get to when it actually becomes embarrassing for the sport, when you're going on a tirade, when you're throwing a tantrum, when you're throwing the ball into the stands, say, right? That's a line that you can't cross. And of course, the NBA has to make sure that line is drawn. But at the same time, why punt the advantage that you've got in that we can see the players' emotional reactions? We can humanize these players. We can understand and connect on a human level with the emotions these players are experiencing. Why try to suppress that? Particularly when basketball is this sport that is incredibly fast, incredibly frenetic in pace. Guys are flying up and down the floor. These are some of the greatest athletes on earth, and we want these guys to care, right? That's been the NBA's big message. It's why the All-Star game has been a failure, because nobody cares. The guys who are playing in the game do not care. That's why the All-Star game is a failure. But what the NBA wants is for players to care about the regular season. They've invested in the regular season. It's what the play-in tournament is all about. It's about keeping fans bought in to regular season basketball. So if you're the 10 seed, you're still paying attention in March. Otherwise, you've long checked out without the play-in tournament. The NBA wants you to care about the regular season. Great. Fantastic. Business-wise, sport-wise, that is a smart decision. Get fans bought in. And that's going to mean players have to be bought in. Players have to care about the regular season. The NBA already has a perception problem with load management. Fans already say, God, can I buy tickets to this game? Nope, it's the second night of a back-to-back. I know there's a decent chance all the players that I want to go see, they're not going to be playing. The NBA already is dealing with that. What you don't want to deal with now is this sense that the emotional reaction of the players who are being told to care about the regular season are now going to be punished for caring about the regular season, for becoming emotionally invested, for wanting badly to win that game. That's what we're now looking at with the way technical fouls are being handed out right now. They're being punished not for crossing that line, but for simply having an emotional reaction in a moment. We're not talking about players who are chasing down referees and screaming in their face. No, of course, tee them up, get them out, all of that. We're talking about a referee misses a call and saying, hey, what happened there, ref? Ooh, technical foul. The NBA should not be in the business of suppressing players' emotions. It's actually the strength of the league. One of the things the league enjoys compared to their competitors is how exposed the players are and the emotional reaction and the connections we can make through them. So Anthony Edwards getting ejected, Naz Reid picking up a technical foul for saying, call it both ways. I think the NBA needs to address this. It's time. There's been enough of these going on. These are not the only ones, but this has happened enough that it's time to switch this up. It's time to say, hey, ease up on these players with the text. It doesn't benefit the NBA to kick Anthony Edwards out of a game against the Lakers. That's a game that's going to draw a lot of eyeballs. We want Ant to be our next star. It's why the Wolves played the Lakers opening night. Put Anthony Edwards in the spotlight with LeBron. Let's see if we can make him our next star. Now, again, I don't think he's there. I'm not all in on Anthony Edwards. I think he's going to be very good, but is he the next superstar? Is he the next face of the NBA? I'm not sold. And it doesn't help things when justifiably he's upset, but then minutes after he's been ejected, he throws the ball into the crowd. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the minor reactions that the NBA referees are suddenly intolerant of. Let's not take emotion out of basketball. Makes no sense. Doesn't help anybody. Fans, the league, the players. Let's wise up. Everybody give me your thoughts in the comments down below. Should the Wolves have swapped Anthony Edwards for Luka? The opportunity was apparently available to them. And what are your thoughts on officiating? Have they become too quick on the trigger to give out technical fouls? Let me know in the comment section. Go check out our latest video from yesterday looking at some of the free agent centers that are going to be on the market and are way too early. Look ahead to the summer. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.